about 5 or 6 tricks in the beginning. If you got any questions, I don't know exactly how you're going to ask them, but
Maybe text.
In the chat.
oh, you can text or chat. There you go. This is a new concept for me, and I'm getting into it a little more than I probably should, but I'm enjoying it. The new ideas for hair, the new things that are going on. The things I'm seeing now with the younger kids with the loops inside of loops, the drags, the pulls. I learned all them in a very young age, so they were really easy for me to adapt to. And I watch a lot of times, especially with the updos and the newer ideas for styles, wedding styles and things like that. We get so much input on YouTube that it's rather quick and you miss a lot. I always tell people, if you want to own something, you have to do it at least 50 times. And in my career, I've learned to do things not 50 times, but 100 times to make it simple on not only me, but my hands, my eyes, the way it goes, the way I control it. So I'm going to start off pretty simple here. I'm going to do a thing called a pull braid. This is just a newer idea, especially for the way updos are going and prom styles and things like that. If you've seen it before, it's okay. It's just a good refresher for anybody. What you're gonna do is you're gonna find your section of hair. And you gotta think about this. Just because I do it on the front of the hair doesn't mean that you have to do it on the front of the hair. What I find in my career is try not to be a secondhand Joe, try to be a firsthand you. So if I teach you something and you learn something today, please go out there and try it and see how to make it your own. I always laugh because a lot of times when I have long-haired clients, they all tell me that they can braid, but they don't do anything else with their hair, or they have a hard time braiding or anything like that. And the little tricks that I show them, I get a lot of feedback on it. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm just doing a very nice little braid. Notice I'm not pulling it too tight. If you watch my hands, I make sure my ends are clear. You might want to put a little product on there just to make it slide a little better. Once you get it to this point like this, it's kind of like what you want to do with it. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to pinch this off, and I'm going to move it rather quickly. So if you're out there and you're not watching, watch now. You ready? Okay. You're going to pinch. See my pinch? I'm holding it, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to push it. And I'm going to create that movement for you. Can you see that movement? It's a beautiful, beautiful movement. So if you were going to pin this, what you would do to pin this is you would actually take two bobby pins.
Is it my ears?
You're going to take two bobby pins and you're going to pin them underneath. Step away for just a second. You can kind of look at that.
I'm sorry.
Step away for just a second. You can kind of look at that. I'm going to grab me two bobby pins. Now, it doesn't matter what kind of bobby pins you use. Some people like big ones, some people like small ones. Me, myself, personally, depending on what the model kind of hair is. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take this and I'm going to go underneath. Now, what I'm doing right now is I'm actually skewering the hair. So I'm locking it that way. Now what I'm going to come back and do is I'm actually going to come back and skewer it the opposite way. As I skewer this, you'll see those two bobby pins just lock themselves together, and that's what you've created. Now that's a really simple idea. Do you want to do it on a bigger scale? That's up to you. If you want to do it on a smaller scale, that's up to you too. I'm going to take this down. I'm going to show you another thing called a loop inside of a loop, which for today's styles and ideas I always think it's great when people come in with what, the Pinterest shot. It's actually the same style, time after time after time after time after time. It's basically nothing more than a braid that they spread apart. So I like to throw them a little change and get something different going. So this is called a push braid. The reason why they call it a push braid is because you push it. What we're going to do next is a thing called loops inside of loops, which is a beautiful idea, especially for if you're doing proms, if you're doing the newer things, if you're just doing a nice tight French twist, but you want to loosen up something around the face to give it a little enhancement. Now this you kind of got to watch a little closer than the last one. When you're going to do loop braids, what you're going to do is you're going to take a loop inside of a loop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hands. I'm going to tilt this so you can see it better. I'm going to take my hands and I'm going to take my two fingers and I'm going to create loops around my fingers. So what I'm going to do is this. Now watch my hands. This is very important when you're doing loops inside of loops. You're going to take the loop like this. Now, if you put your hand in front of it, you create one loop. If you put your hand behind it, you create another loop. Tail forward, tail back. Does that make sense to you? Let me show it to you again. If you want the tail to come forward, you'll come like that. If you want the tail to go back, you'll come like this. So we'll just make the tail go back today. How's that sound? What you're going to do is you're going to take a clip and you're going to pinch that right there. So what you created is that loop, and now you're going to pinch that, do this again, and you're going to feed that loop through that loop. Now watch it, because if you do it a different way, you're going to create different kinds of loops. And that's another thing you're going to be able to do. You're going to be able to play with these ideas and create different ideas. So you now have loop inside a loop. And we're going to do that again. And we're going to create loops that you're able to, which seems to be the trend nowadays, actually move. So we're going to put that out of the way. Going to do one more. Are you ready for this? You're going to take the two fingers like I showed you, put them inside the loop, create your loop, pinch that right there. Take your other two fingers, slide them through the other loop, grab that loop and bring it through. Now, as you do this, what you're creating is actually what you see nowadays quite a bit on Pinterest that they do with a braid. It's like an upside down braid. It's the same idea, the same movement. So what you're doing is actually taking a different turn to an easy idea and making it your own. Now this last one that I'm going to do, I'm going to take it from right here. And let me show you what happens when I start this. I know you guys appreciate it. If you want to pin this, what you need to do, take your loop inside of your loop, slide it. Notice I'm sliding it through my loop, and I'm going to take these two fingers, slide it in, and I'm going to pinch that loop and pull it out. Now, what I've done by doing this is these are now movable. So you can make these move however you want them to move. Take the clips out. Now, if you pin this last one down here, it will move for you, but it's not going to move as much as the rest of them. So now you've got that wave pattern. You're going to grab all these, and how do you want them to move? You want them to get bigger? That would be pushing them this way. Or do you want them to get tighter, which would be pulling them this way? Now, as you can see, that looks very familiar. It looks much like the newer ideas that they're doing with the upside down braid, except it's another concept of it. It allows you to take these tails and do whatever enhancing looks you want. If you were going to do this all up in a chignon or something like that. You got this? Any questions, please? So you got loops inside of loops. I'm gonna take this down, give me a second. When you take it out, all you do is pull the tails. I'm gonna do one more thing and then I'm gonna get into my men's haircut. Is that okay? I'm gonna show you an idea that I use now more than I ever used before. It's an idea called a pucker. When I first started doing this, it was very early in my career and I didn't know what I had. And as I got a little more seasoned and did a lot more runway stuff, I started playing with this a lot more. And little did I know it would finally become popular after all these years. When you're going to pucker hair, what you're going to do is you're actually just going to twist it very lightly. Okay. Now, as you twist this, you might want to put a little shine spray on it so it does slide. Okay. Now, I don't know if you can see the end of this hair, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach in and grab one hair. I'm going to reach in, grab one hair, and I'm going to start the pulling of that hair.
Is this your cell phone? Okay, I'm gonna send it to you right now.
And as you pull, you can see the hair starting to move and build on itself. And that's the kind of look you're creating. So with these looser ideas, you could do this on a lower, make this a loose bun, pull it apart a little bit, edge it out. But once you pin this piece right here, you are in total and complete control of this. So that's called a pucker. We all good with that? Okay. So you got three easy tricks right off the bat. Your first easy trick was a push braid. Your second easy trick was loops inside of loops. And your third easy trick was a pucker. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a young man's haircut. His name is TJ. He's very famous. He's so famous. It was his birthday yesterday. And he's really anxious to get his hair cut. So I think I'm going to need a little something for TJ to sit on so he's a little taller. But I have my usual consultation. Okay. I'm going to go over a couple ideas before I really get into his haircut. I'm not here to push anybody's product or anything like that. But what I find is that there's different clippers that you need to do different jobs. So I tell everybody they should have at least 2 or 3 big sets of clippers, 1 or 2 sets of little clippers, and then an edging or a trimming clipper. All right, Mr. TJ, let me see you jump up there. Wow. Oh, you got it? Wow. A little higher would be helpful, but you got a board, I'll just put a board across here. So, sir, with your new roller blades and everything, how would you like your haircut today? Huh? You want to show him some thunder? Can you show him all your muscles? No, it's okay. He's nervous.
I don't even know how I want my haircut.
You don't know how you want your haircut? Okay. Hold on, buddy. Let's get you down just a second. There you go. Jump up on there again. Wow, you're really tall now.
Hey.
You want a penguin cape or you want a big guy's cape?
Probably like.
A big guy's cape?
Mhm.
Okay. All right then, Mr. TJ. So how old are you?
5.
You're 5? Are you married or single?
Yep.
There's ladies out there who want to know this. This is important stuff. All right, let me see what we got here. Wow, this young man's got some colics. All right, we're seeing a colic that's pretty dominant right there. Comes over across his hairline like this. Let's see, got any more colics over there? He's got a really dominant hairline. Okay, his hairline comes down pretty dominant right there. And then it comes around, he's got a nice little colic over here on the top. All right. Okay, so what are you thinking about there, Mr. TJ? You got any ideas on this? You want any lines in it? You want me to write your name? Hmm.
I like my name.
Okay. What I try to do, and I make light of things all the time, but in reality, in our business nowadays, I try to make everything nice and fun and friendly. Because what I'm finding is there is so many people out there that just don't interact anymore. You come into my salon, it's always buzzing. People are laughing. It's usually a conversation with the whole salon. So this is a good opportunity for me to kind of like just go through a nice haircut. I'm gonna cut around his ears first, tilt just a little bit, TJ. Oh my God, his hair is amazing. And when you cut around these ears, don't worry about it, I never cut them. In my career, I cut one lady one time, and it was 35 years ago, and I still cut her hair. What do you think the first thing she says every time she gets in my chair? Don't cut my ear. Peggy, I cut your hair. I cut your hair 35 years ago and I barely nicked it, so. Oh, look at that. You're looking sharper already there, Mr. TJ. All right, buddy. I learned this from a guy who made pizzas years ago. He always said children are the domination of your business from the beginning to the end. And I didn't understand that, but as I got a little older, I really understand it more and more, because in our own careers, I've started out where I cut somebody's hair in a stroller, and I'm now cutting their kids' hair in a stroller. So those generations actually make your clientele. Across our country, you know that people do what? They like doing business with people they like. They like going places they're used to. You okay there? Did I squirt you? That water's really cold, ain't it? Wake you up. So what I found is that all the kids that I started doing back in the 70s and 80s and stuff now have families of their own. And they're also growing at exponential forms. So they might not come to me, they might not come to my wife, they might come to my son or my daughter or one of my other stylists in the salon. But the fact is that they're doing what? They're coming into the salon. Okay, TJ, you're doing fantastic. The tough part of this job is over with. All right. Now there's about 5 different ways to start a fade haircut. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you on each one of these people a different way to fade hair. TJ doesn't mind how tight his fade is, so I'm going to start off with a skin fade. Oh, I'm sorry. Bad habit.
It's okay.
Look that way, buddy. You good? Okay. When you start a skin fade, what you do is you're actually going to put a line lower than you want your fade. So if you want your fade to start up here, your skin fade is actually going to start about right there. When you nick this whole line across like that, what you're going to create is you're actually going to create a weight line. Now you choose how you want the weight line to move. So when I first start doing it, usually the thing I get out of most hairdressers is I could never do that. But nowadays, with all these shops opening up, people being faster, things being more unique, you have to have this. If you don't have it, it's kind of a scary thought. All right, buddy. I'm gonna move them this way again. Now where my skin fade is gonna start is right here. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take my clipper and touch it like this. Now creating a skin fade, especially on a small kid like TJ, wow, small kid like TJ. Eventually TJ is gonna be a big kid, you can tell, he's got that stature to him. But what you wanna do is you wanna make sure that line's as clean as you can get it. So when you're gonna start fading this up, using a clipper, kind of makes you a little bit more control. I see some people, they cut it, and what they basically use is a scissor. I'm pretty comfortable with the clipper, so I'm gonna fade this right up to that line. Bring it just like that. Now creating a skin fade on a guy like this is really, really easy. Know your hair type, know what you're looking to achieve. Wow, he sits really good. So as I'm going around, you can see the line I'm creating. Now this doesn't mean that this line right here that I'm going to, that doesn't mean that that's my fade line. My fade line is going to be about 1.5 inches above that. Here's a great example. You see that little nick corner that just came in there? Just take the edge of your clipper and just blend that thing in. He's got good hair to do this, but the other problem with this kind of hair is that you do see every mistake. So as we're skin fading it, you're gonna start to see a little bit more professional stuff going on here. All right, TJ, let me look at you, buddy. That's pretty short. Good job. All right, now there's two things you can do here. What I like to do is I like to either use a flat topping tool or a blending comb. If I'm using a blending comb, I like something that's very narrow, something about that thin. So when I do move it, do use it, I can just go through it real quick. Because of the type of hair he has, I wouldn't use that right off the bat. What I would use is I would use a flat topper. I would take my flat topper. Perfect, right? I'd take my flat topper just like this, put it in there, and very, very lightly. You just want to take that bulk line out of there. That's a good guy. Are you gonna go out on rollerblades today?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Oh, good man. Going on the trail or where you going?
I'm going, you gotta go to the other person.
You and Dad are going where? Cul-de-sac. By the cul-de-sac. So Dad's a rollerblader, probably is a hockey player too, huh? Are you gonna play hockey too?
Yeah.
Good man. You're probably gonna have the sharpest hair on the cul-de-sac. They're gonna be whistling at you. And when you're taking this and you're blending this, everybody always thinks that you don't have a guideline when you cut this. Here is your guideline, right here. That last section of hair becomes your guideline. So as you take that guideline into that, it allows you to cut that hair pretty tight. So we're just gonna blend that up. How's that feeling, Mr. TJ?
So quick question.
Sure.
Where's the master key to your salon downstairs? Jen needs to know.
On my backpack at home.
It's on his backpack.
All right, buddy. Don't move here. I'm gonna clean up this little bit of mix. Now you can see I've created just a weight line that goes completely around this. Now what I have to do is I have to blend this, this, and this, all three of these together at the same time. So remember I told you before about using the blending comb? This is a blending comb. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my blending comb and I'm gonna go at an angle. I'm not gonna keep it square. The reason why I don't wanna keep it square is because I don't wanna take off too much hair on the top. If I take it at an angle, all I'm doing is dropping that little section out right there. And see how it's already starting to blend? Now you gotta remember, this kind of hair shows every mark. So when you do this, you've got to do your due diligence.
So someone just asked if I do use a comb instead of darts.
I use combs always. I can use a guard. I will use a guard if I have somebody who has very thick hair and I need to clean this up really quickly. But 95% of the times I use a comb. Good question, by the way. They asked if I always use combs. For my fades, I always use a comb. I have used guards in the past, and you can use them. I'm not against them. I just kind of get nervous about things people say. They come in and they say, they do a number 2 on the sides and a number 5 on top. To me, that takes away our professionalism only because what is a number 2? It sounds to me like it's almost robotic. Do I want robotic hair? I don't feel as though in my salon at least is I don't want that robotic feeling. I want people to know they're coming there, they're getting something that not that they can't get anywhere else, but we do have a uniqueness. We do keep it real. We are very artistic. Matter of fact, in the salon, that's what we encourage most. Remember I told you, you gotta take that at an angle. If you get too square with it, you'll take too much off the top. What I try to do usually on my men's haircut is I try to do them every 25 minutes. It's a little harder now because I'm explaining it. Okay. As you can see,
What is the name of the brand on that clipper?
the brand on the clipper, it's an Oster Classic 76. TJ, you're killing me. TJ's very, very serious. So what we're gonna do now, because we already cut what I basically would call a skin fade, is now we gotta blend the skin fade. So when I blend my skin fades, what I usually do is, as I come up to the top, I scoop it. So as I'm scooping this, see, this might get warm around your ear, don't worry, it won't burn you. So I'm scooping this at an angle, very similar to what I did with my Very similar to what I did with my comb. Now that fade line is becoming very light. I'm gonna go around and just take that angle and just scoop at it. I use that as my guarantee, is that line. When you're scooping at these, what you're gonna do is you're gonna just bring it up, scoop, bring it up, scoop, bring it up, scoop. And what I use is that line right there. That is actually my guideline.
Sorry to interrupt. Someone has asked, are you using 000 head on the clipper?
I'm using a 000 head on it. Exactly. Good, buddy. I'm gonna take it to that line and then I'm gonna scoop. Take it to that line and then scoop. Take it to that line and then scoop. And if you feel like you're getting a little tight right in there, you can always angle the clippers just a tad and go right along that line. Oh, don't move, bud. You okay? I'm sorry, did that get hot? Huh? Was it hot? And what we're gonna do next is we're actually gonna create our own line. We're gonna take it around his face. I won't hurt you, bud. Now we've got it pretty much all scooped out. It's blended. It's a visible line, but it's not a definite line. Do you want an arrow or anything? Mom, Dad, do you want an arrow or anything?
What do you think, buddy? Lightning bolt? No?
No. What's your name?
Name.
Your name, TJ?
I can do it, TJ.
TJ?
You sure?
Yes, sir. Okay. Now, this is the great thing about this is most hairdressers, we're all visual hair cutters. I don't care who you think you are or how technique orientated you are. You're still a visual hair cutter. When things don't look right, you got to change them. So go in there and clean up. You never would have saw those little tiny hairs. His hair is so light. Is this your first skin fade, TJ? No? Has had a skin faded before? Good man. Okay, I need to tilt that. There you go, buddy. Thank you so much. Oh, I won't hurt you. Okay. Now that is a beautiful skin fade. There is nothing flawed. Let me look at you, man. Stare right at me. Look me right into the eye. Where would you like your TJ? In the back or on the side? On the side, okay. So Mr. TJ wants a TJ on his head. We're gonna just take that. That's gonna be his T. And that's gonna be his J right there. We're gonna make the T. This is actually kind of like cutting a hard part. T, let me see if we can get that a little better. Yeah, we can get that a whole lot better. If you need to wet it every once in a while, it just kind of helps you get a visual of the hair, especially when it's this light. We'll make a J. J goes this way, right? To the right? To the left? My name is Joe. Okay, I make my J that way. I just gotta make sure here.
Joe, are you using a peanut right now?
I am using a peanut. These people have great questions. I use my peanut all the time when I cut hair. I use it actually more than my big clipper.
It's good. It's a good J.
It's a good J. So there you go, Mr. TJ. We're gonna complete the top with some scissors, a little bit of blending. I'm gonna show you a couple tricks on this. God, he's got great hair. We'll put a little gel in there. How's that feel, T? Good. My whole life, I've always cut kids' hair. And one of the reasons why I always cut kids' hair is because Joe Aurelio always told me, and he owns a pizza place. He always said that the family starts with the children. If you can keep the children happy, the mom and dad just fall into place. So I always cut it. All my clients is kids. I give them a break. I always make sure I have candy for them. I always make sure they have a great experience in the shop. We're not one of those shops that say kids sit outside or anything like that. I really enjoy being around them. I've never lived in a place that didn't have children only because they're so much fun.
Joe, someone else asked, how wide is the blade?
The blade on the clipper or the blade on the peanut? The blade on the Oster looks like it's probably almost 1.5 inches. The blade on the peanut is probably just an even inch. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to take this hair. First, I'm going to take it down by using my flat topper just to get rid of this excess. As you can tell, I use my flat topper all the time. As far as men's cutting goes, in our salon, my salon business is by about 35 to 40% men and the rest is women. But the men seem to fill up every gap in my day. So I'm not always waiting. The flat topper has a guideline in it, and it also has a level in it if I need it. I don't use it anymore, but when I first started, I used it quite a bit. Look at this, Mr. TJ.
Joe, someone else had asked if you prefer corded over cordless.
Oh, great question. Do I prefer cordless over corded? It does not matter to me. My son uses cordless. I use it with a cord. Only reason why I prefer a cord is because I don't have the diligence to plug it in to let it charge every time. There's my guideline, cut right to it. Okay, now we're getting around his cowlick here, so you got to make a decision. Do you want his cowlick to be a focal point or do you want to get rid of it? The easiest thing to do is make it a focal point because he has such great hair and he has such a great look about it. When I get into this right here, I'm going to use a scissor right now to clean it up. But when I'm done with this, I'm going to use a pair of thinning shears that I got to talk about because it created a big difference in the way I do hair. Wow,
Someone else, Brenda K says, I'm so glad I saved my flat topper from 20 years ago.
20 years ago. Yeah, our business is riddled with what goes around. It's constantly coming around again. I don't see any problem with doing things again, especially if you're doing them in a way that you own it as an artist. Most of the time I see people in my salon, they own things as an artist. They don't own it as a, because it's hip. So I'm trying to explain that to some of the younger stylists these days, especially when it comes to doing a color a certain way or an idea a certain way. There's many ways of achieving things, but you have to achieve them. That's the important point of all of this. This guy's doing good. I don't know if I was 3 years old, if I could have sat this long. I never was a quiet kid. More of a quiet adult than I was as a kid. How's that feeling, buddy? Good? All right. Now I'm going to show you a little something that I found years ago that helped me out so much with cutting fades. These are double-edged thinning shears. So see this second edge right here? Let me show you another pair.
Teeth on both sides?
This guy's teeth on both sides, exactly. This has teeth on one side, and when you close it, you're going to create that line in the hair. When you have teeth on both sides, you do not get a line no matter what. And you can see how adorable this fade looks here, but sometimes you need to just go over it and just clean it up just a little bit. Not much, but just a little bit. So I'm taking that little bit of fade, These shears actually have helped so many people that I know. I taught to do it. I have a lot of friends in the hairdressing business. So some of them will tell me things that they won't tell their other stylists. Remember, in this world, a good hairdresser borrows, but a great hairdresser steals. So when you steal an idea, make it your own. Don't do it to mine, do it to yourself. These shears can make you look really good on a nice fade, especially if you got a young man that's really touchy about his work. So you can kind of see how I'm fading this up. Very simple. But you notice these shears, you notice how they take that hair and there's not a chop mark in there. It's lightening it up, very soft. So now your fade's even fading better. Now you can't do this on really curly hair, by the way. If you do it on really curly hair, it just doesn't work. Okay. Now what we're going to do is now we're actually going to take our other shears and we're going to go through the top of this, and I'm going to use that cowlick in every way I can. I'm going to start back here and I'm going to start right at the bottom. And if you notice, I don't put it against his head, but I put it very close to the base of the head. Now this cowlick is going to become way overbearing right now, because we all know that what? Shorter hair pushes longer hair. So by creating this hair to push this other hair up, gonna lean in there just a little bit, just a little bit. Oh, good job, bud. Got a date? Got a date tonight?
Yes,
No.
A date with Nana.
A date with Nana. That was my best friend in the world, was my Nana. Nothing better than a big, heavy-set Italian grandma. My grandmother was 3 feet tall and 6 feet wide, and all of it was made of love. She was always happy. She used to tell me in Italian, you mess up, I give you a crack. When she meant she used to give me a crack, that meant she gave me a big hug and a kiss. She was such a great lady. I used to braid her hair in one giant long braid about 4 feet long, and she'd wrap it around her head. All right. Now you're seeing how this is really a great he's a great model because number one, his hair shows every mistake, every mistake. Number two, he has all this outlining that you can't see. This is all outlining on his hair. It goes just like this and comes down like this, comes back like this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our little peanut and we're gonna re-outline that for him. All right, TJ, don't move, buddy. Huh? Are them girls in the neighborhood gonna be able to resist you? Okay, we're gonna go right into his collar, not taking it out, by the way. Creating that line. Wow. Okay, good looking. Yeah, let me step around this way. That the longest haircut of your life? He's like, oh my God, I don't know what I signed up for. Now, when I'm gonna cut this cowlick, I'm not gonna go into it again. I'm gonna just go around the perimeter, so it gives a nice clean look. Let me look at you, bud. Oh, you're a good looking guy. I don't know if they'll be able to handle you. As you can see, with any time you're gonna do a fade, you're gonna have a little bit of something that's always gonna make your eyes crazy. Just take your comb really light, go over them super light again. You've already scooped it out, so anything you do, you're not gonna have any problems with. All right, buddy. Let me see if I can get you around this way. By keeping that comb at an angle, you're always going to get a better cut out of it. Only because that angle makes sure you don't go too high. So as you can see, Mr. TJ, you're ready to go. LA's ready for you. 2-second dry. This guy's the best model I've had in about a year. Not scared of nothing. Look at this. Got a lot of texture in there. He's got his TJ on the side. All right, I'm gonna be cutting his dad's hair next, and his dad's name is Tony. So it's gonna be a father, son. Ooh. Must have left a little dot in that T there. Let's get that on there. There we go.
Teresa says TJ looks handsome.
Everyone says TJ looks handsome. Thank you, Teresa. You guys,
What's your favorite men's style products, Joe? Susie would like to know.
my favorite products as far as styling goes, I actually use Bump It Up. That's for my mousse, and I use paste is for my harder ones, and then I use Paul Mitchell mud. I don't know what exactly it's called.
And Ellen would like to see that red comb one more time.
Sure. All right, Ellen, we're going to show you that red comb one more time. Sometimes you can kind of pick through this. Look at how great his cowlick made this look. Coming from an Italian family, everybody had cowlicks, but these were some pronounced cowlicks. I love them. They're awesome. You loving it, TJ? You the man. All right, that red comb, where's my blending comb? That's my blending comb. That's how thin it is. It's got written on it, Babyliss Pro something, I don't know. So that's what it's got written on it. What we're gonna do is just take this, and I need my wide tooth comb, which I live by. All right, this guy's looking like he's ready to go. Are you in a band? You should be. His eyelashes are so long, they actually look fake. One of the things I always tell people is when you undo the cape, always check. I don't care if it's a kid, I don't care if it's an older gentleman, always check that neckline, because you never know where people's necklines end. So I'm going to show you Mr. TJ's TJ on the side of his head. I'll show you the front view of him. There's his TJ on the side. Can you see that? And there's his fade. Are you ready for this? He's good. Are you ready? Ta-da! Thank you. You were the best model I've had in a year.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome. You have got it all going on. Not gonna need that for our next ones.
Dad and Papa.
All right, now I'm gonna do TJ's dad, Tony.
Hey, Joe,
You do.
I,
All right.
I do want to opt out of the letters on the side of my head.
Okay. Don't want the competition, huh? Now, Tony looks like he's got a totally different hairline than his son. Great hair.
TJ gets all his colics from his mom.
Wow, yeah, totally. All right, now what I'm going to show you how to do on this one, it's a haircut that I actually hate to say this, but I call it my money maker. Sometimes at night, I'll do maybe 6 to 10 guys all in a row in a matter of a couple hours, and it just knocks it down. It's the reason why I call it my money makers, because I can do them so quickly, but they look fantastic. It's called a businessman's box cut, and I actually learned to cut these from my wife, who was a stylist at Vidal Sassoon many years ago. And she used to harp on me about making lines so square and masculine. As we went along in our careers, certain things changed, but certain things didn't change. And one of the things that didn't change is the masculine line. So if you want to keep hair masculine, you have to keep those lines very square and very boxy. He's a great candidate for it. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take a weight line. I'm going to cut a weight line right along here. That's going to give you your box feeling to the haircut, even though it's not boxy. But what you're going to do is as you take that weight line, pick it up like this. Ooh, a whole bunch of different lengths in there. You're going to take that line, and as you lift that line like this, can you see my hands? Let me show you. There's a lot of different lengths in there, but what you're going to do when you turn that, turn just a touch. When you turn that like that, can you see all the different lengths he has in there? What you're going to do is you're going to clean those right off like this. Now you've created that little line, and what you're going to do is you're going to move that line throughout the whole head. In his case, I'm gonna take another section just because I wanna make sure I got a good guideline. And you can see the guideline right there. There's my guideline. There's my section. Like most people, Tony's got a great look to his hair and stuff like that. I think he's got a lot better hair than he probably thinks he does, because everybody has what? A fault in their hair. I hate my hair. I hate this color. I hate this. I wish it was curly. I wish it was straighter.
I wish it was blonde.
I wish it was
I
blonde.
wish it was, yeah.
Joe, I'm happy to have here.
See that? He's going in the right direction. You can't stop this guy. So when I'm blending this, in the back, I'm actually not taking off barely any hair. This line, even though you can see it, it looks pretty prevalent. When you move that line, it kicks that hair back. So that hair is kicking right back into almost like a perfect layered look. I threw this out of my vocabulary about 5 years ago. Don't use the word feathered. I don't care how much you want to use it or say it, don't use it. It just dates you too much, and your rhetoric in the salon is very important, by the way. There's things you never say in the salon because it dates you too quickly. All right, I'm taking the same guideline, cutting it on this side. This is a now that's why I call these my money makers, because this is a very business haircut and it doesn't take me that long to cut because I'm blending it all at once. When I'm done blending this, I'll just go through and cut from the back to the front. I'll do my cross on the top. Tony's got great hair for cutting. All right, I'm gonna clean up around my ears. Now, when I get to the next part of this, this is where it gets complicated. He has a neckline that wants a round off. That's not a masculine neckline. What you have to do is you have to take that neckline, and I don't know who cut this last time, but that's exactly what they did. They took that neckline and made a point here, and then went right across like this, taking out that rounded neckline.
It could have been someone in a different industry.
Ah, whoever it was, they did it the right way. By keeping them lines square like that, it makes the shoulders appear as though they're square, and also makes the neck appear as though it's square. So if he was to be in a business shirt, them lines would all clean up. But what it gives it is a very groomed and manicured appearance, but a very masculine one at that. Okay, now this is my guideline, so I'm going to drop that guideline all the way down around it. Wow. Okay, now you can see his guideline. You can see what his haircut's pretty much been through. Whoever cut this last time was right-handed. The reason why I know right-handed and left-handed. Okay.
This guy.
You got it.
And I'm in charge of the neck.
Now what I'm gonna do, because this is so business savvy, I'm gonna make that line clean right to that point. All I'm gonna do is take my flat topper, put it in, tilt it till I see my guideline and take it out. Huh? Is that like amazing stuff and how easy it is? You're creating this very clean line, very business-like at that. As you go around the head, you still have to watch your guideline. You have to have a guideline. If you don't have a guideline, Right to the guideline. There's the guideline, right to the guideline. I don't know where that piece came from. You got a piece back here that's about 4 inches long. We're just gonna take it out. Pandemic here. Now see, there's your guideline again. I'm still using that guideline. Now look at how clean that line is that you've created. There's my guideline right there. Don't fade from your guideline. Stay with that guideline. That's your guideline. I'm gonna put it right there like that. There's my guideline from last time. There's my guideline on the top. Take everything off in between. One of the other reasons why I always like using my flat copper, it's not something they can go home and replicate, which is actually happened during the pandemic to a lot of people because they just said, oh, I'll just do a number 2 like she does. And some of them got pretty good at it. So in our business, I call it the 3 R's that you have to learn. The 3 R's are rejuvenate, redefine, and re-engage. What that means is just because somebody is now doing their hair color at home or doing something at home, it doesn't mean that they're not going to be your client. They have to come to you for something. So that's what I do. I redefine it. I reinvent sometimes. People need reinvention, but you have to engage on it. And one of the things that gets me the most nowadays with the sales industry, the way it's going, is I've learned that when people look at my product, no matter what it is, and by the way, I pay my rent on my product sales. What I learned is that if you tell them what you're thinking and what your feelings are, they will do one of 2 things: tell you no, or they will also engage you. I usually start out with telling them what the product is, what it does, but I also tell them that I sell it cheaper than you can find it on Amazon, and I sell it cheaper than you can buy it at Ulta. 90% of the times they don't believe you. While they're sitting there, they'll open up their phone. Right now is the day of reckoning. If you lied to them, they will know. But if you told them the truth, they will engage. So that's one of my things. I know it sounds a little crazy, but that's what you have to do. I'm not picking on any big stores or anything like that. I'm just a small business guy trying to make my bills. As you can notice on the right side of Tony's head, I didn't have a lot to cut. On the left side, there was 3 and 4 inches coming off at a time. And what that usually tells me is that the person who cut it is right-handed. Do a better job on the right side than you do on the left side. It's just a matter of physics. One of the things I actually learned this from my own daughter, is before she lets a guy get out of her chair, she checks the ears and the eyebrows and below the neck. And the reason why she does that is because you don't want your husband to come home with fuzzy ears or fuzzy eyebrows. So see how masculine that neckline looks? What you're going to do is this is going to be your point. This is all going to be your guideline. Starts from right here. Picking your guideline straight up like this, not too much tension on it, and just lightly take that piece off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an X in this head. Watch how I do it. That's why this is called a businessman's box cut. You're going to clean that right up to there. That was your front, that was your first line going down the back. Now your second line is going to go right across the middle. This is a busy neighborhood. A lot of walkers, huh? Wow. You guys can't see it, but there's a lot of people walking around outside. Now, this is my guideline right here, is from the back, and this is gonna be my guideline to the front. Now I'm cutting that all the way to the front. In this case, he actually says he has a bad hairline. He actually has a very good hairline, and he's got good hair. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna elevate that just a tad. Can you kind of see that elevation? It's elevating just a tad. Ah. As I'm going to elevate this right here, this will be the end of the line that goes from the forehead to the back. I'm going to clean this up like this.
Do you use a cutting solution or is that just water?
That's just water. That's just water. Okay. Now we made a straight line that goes straight through his head, like this, all the way to the front. Now we're going to take this line right on top. Remember I said this is going to look down just a tad. This is going to be my guide. I'm going to take the guide from right here. I'm going to take my guide from right here. There's my guideline. And I'm going to cut right across like this. And then I'm going to create what they call a moving guideline. There's my guide. I'm going to come right around the focus of his head. Right around to here. And now you can kind of see that little point right there? That makes the difference in a business haircut. Once you take off that point, now you've just wiped out that weight line, but you've made it flow. It flows to perfection now. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing going the other way.
Maria just agreed with you, Joe, and said that checking eyebrows and ears is a must for her when cutting men's hair.
I think years ago when men came into a salon, I think there was such a big diversity about it, but now it's like second nature. So many things have changed for the better, by the way. Okay, I'm gonna take my fingers. Now this side has a lot more hair, so we're gonna just clean that line up. And take that right past there. There's that point again. Once you take that point off, you've now created that flow. Now you have an X, you have a line going this way, you have a line going this way, and you have a line going this way. Them are your guidelines. So what you're gonna do is remember I told you you're gonna have a moving guideline. As your moving guideline goes through this, you're gonna stand at one point. You're not gonna move around to the side. You're not gonna move around to this side. You're gonna stand at one point and do your whole haircut from one point, which is behind him. The reason why is, remember I told you we're making it gradually go longer. When you graduate that length, you're gonna have to cross-check it eventually. You don't wanna do the job twice. You're just taking off that little bit right there. So now you've created this nice wave, this nice line. There's that point again. Let me turn just a little so you can see a little better. You're gonna pull that back and there's that point again. There's my guide, there's that point. Now I'm gonna come to this side and do the exact same thing. Remember I told you, you're gonna stay in the same spot though. You're gonna pull that hair to that X. There's that point again. I'm gonna take that point off there. Take your next section, stand in the same spot. If you start jumping around, you're gonna create little, I call them chunk looks, where you have hacks in different parts of your haircut. That's not what I wanna do. This is a very business haircut, but if he wants to wear it a little looser on the weekends, he can. By the way, you can wear this haircut forward too. There's that point again, taking that right off there. Wow. Don't jump around. I just had a tendency to move closer, and that's not what you want to do. Okay, look down. Okay, I told you I created my X in the haircut. My main line was, my main guideline was this way. These were my two side guidelines. I stayed in the back and cut the whole thing. I'm gonna do the exact same thing. When I cut on this side, I'll make a half step to my right. When I cut on this side, I'll make a half step to my left. The reason why I'm gonna do that is because when I blend this line, I don't want to start pulling this line straight down. I want to graduate it coming back to me. Very easy. See that? Now my next one should just about touch my other guideline. There's my point. There's my guideline. Now what you've created is actually a movement. Can you see my movement I've created with my, that hair, because I stood here and cut it this way, moves this way. Now what I'm going to do on the other side is I'm going to stand exactly the opposite. I'm going to stand over here and cut this side. So what I'm going to do is, as I'm cutting this, I'm going to go straight up with this. Probably in about a half an hour.
You want me to come back?
Would that be okay?
Be quiet.
That's okay, right?
Yeah, we can't. We can't even just
By shifting the weight this way. There's that line again. There's that line again. Let's see what you've created. It looks as though that weight line that's right there is almost like a foreign guideline to it. It makes it move into that scenario. Good thing about it is he does have great hair for this. So I'm going to start making it, working on my masculine lines. Now that's a neckline.
Much better than what I do.
You were doing great.
Kim said she feels that this haircut would work well with a flat head. Do you agree?
Say that again.
Kim says she feels that this haircut would work well with a flat head. Would you agree?
It works with a flat head, but it also works with somebody who has a large occipital bone, which is right here, because that when you're blending this way, if they have a flat head, it leaves fullness here. If they have a big occipital bone, it makes the occipital bone look like it's blending the haircut. Good question, by the way. I'm assuming you're keeping the scruff or not. I always laugh because my kids tell me, "Oh, Dad, we like you with a little scruff." Yeah, it just means I didn't shave. That was just a lazy Sunday. Like it. Yeah. Now that line is very masculine looking. If you're a businessman and you're wearing a white shirt, that's gonna be the line you're gonna use. It makes the shirt look a lot better, but it also makes the neck look a lot more masculine. Always check the eyebrows, always check the ears. I did have one odd eyebrow. Look up just a little bit online your beard up there. A little more, Tony. When you're lining a beard up, luckily Tony has a real prevalent neckline, so you know that that's gonna be his beard line. It's gonna be right there. Now, if he wanted a strap, you would take the strap just like that. If he just wants a beard, you take it right to there. Want a strap or a?
Good call.
Do a strap.
Yeah.
When you do a strap, you're gonna go right to that jawline and take it like that. Now, if you have somebody who's in the armed services, they have to have it like that. Their beards and their mustaches are not allowed to touch their lip. And that's what he's done. He went right from here all the way around to here. I'm gonna dry him up, see what we have. He's got a great head of hair. You guys liking this? You learning something? I do a lot of men's hair cutting and I like doing it. It fills in my day. Remember what I told you? You still have to cross-check your haircuts? Before I would put any product on them, what I would do is I would make sure I cross-checked everything.
Elizabeth says, yes, she's enjoying it. Ramona says, awesome. Nikki says this is very helpful.
Oh, good. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Now, by cross-checking it, do you see where his line is? That is a perfect line. But you still have to cross-check your haircuts.
Martha says extremely helpful.
Now, he can wear this both ways. I have a funny feeling he likes to wear it to the left.
Mhm.
In his case, I would not put a hard part in his hair. He's got good hair, but it's just too fine and too light. Or if you start putting a hard part in it, it would probably look as though he was scalped in an area. I myself, I like a hard part in my hair. But I'm wearing a black hat, so you can't see my hard part today. Now, he can wear it any way he wants. Look down just a little bit. All right, that neckline looks. Wow. As you can see, his haircut came out really nice, really clean. It's very blended. We learned one thing really quick. Whoever cut his hair was right-handed because I cut a little bit of hair off this side, and I cut about 4 inches off this side. So to make this look the way it's business, you can part the hair. Personally, myself, I don't like it too high like that. I think if he was going out on the weekend, I think his hair has that kind of look where he'd probably leave it a little messier. How's that feel, Tony?
Excellent.
Excellent. My second day on the job, I'm getting the hang of this. Show them your neckline. There's that masculine neckline. Notice how it all blends very evenly. I pushed it forward. I don't know if he'll wear it forward, but I figured what the heck, just push it forward. It might be his weekend. Comes around like that. Are you all set? Let me check your neckline. Does it happen to any of you guys? You have somebody with a neckline ends at their ankles. You want to put a stick on there and go. Luckily, he does not have one of those necklines, but I've had it happen to me. But where is this neckline hair ending?
Therese says now she needs to go and find her flat tackle again. Nice haircut.
Tell Teresa, thank you, and ta-da! Go ahead, Tony, give him a once around. Yeah, turn him around. Look at that. Probably gonna be Facebook famous. There you go.
Thank you very much.
All right, I'm gonna do one more haircut, and then I'm gonna get into another fade. This is Mr. Tim. Rich, I'm sorry, and I wrote it down too.
Yeah, it's all
How did I say Tim?
Nicole says very sharp on Tony's cut. Elizabeth says applause, applause.
Nice.
Martha asks, is that a good haircut for very thick hair and quite a few collaps?
Awesome. Haircut for both. Because you're putting weight lines in, which make the hair move in directions.
And Kim says great haircut.
Okay. Rich has got a great head of hair. I don't know where he gets his awesome hair from, but God bless. He's letting it grow.
COVID.
COVID?
COVID haircut.
So we're gonna do the same ideas on Rich. We're gonna keep the hair longer in the back. We're gonna clean up the sides to not make it look so old-fashioned-ish. And we're gonna just very lightly go around the perimeter. And I know you guys have already seen this, but I'm gonna show you a trick. You can get away with this kind of stuff. He's gonna let his hair grow, so what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna take this hair. I'm gonna take this hair and I'm gonna cut an angle at a weight line like this. So I'm actually doing the exact opposite of what I just did on that head of hair. Now Rich has got good hair. So when you take this weight off right here, it makes his face appear as though it's thinner. What he's getting right now is actually almost like a bob effect. So by having that squareness right there, it makes his face look like it's almost puffy. And if it's actually not, it just makes that appearance. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that angle like this. We're gonna slide our hands in like this. Make sure your sections are clean. And I'm gonna cut right across like that. I'll show it to you. You see all the hair I'm taking off on this? There's my guideline. I'm going from no hair to a lot of hair. So that's what I just created. Now you can see how heavy his hair is. It's very boxy. Not a good look for him. He's got great hair. There's my guideline. You can see my guideline underneath there. We're going to create that movement just like that. And you can already see just making that one cut, how that hair already thins him out. It took that bulkiness out from there to there. I see it mostly in guys who are trying to grow their hair out all at once. They think if they just let it grow, it'll get long. And that's the truth, it will get long. But in the meantime, they go through a lot of transitions. And one of the transitions I call is the guy who has the box bob haircut. So if you just take those little bits of corners off there, you could still get the same idea. And you could still get a better haircut, a better look, and still not feel like you're maybe getting ready for a Buster Brown effect. So Rich, how's that feel so far?
Good.
And he's gonna grow out the back, he's gonna grow out the front, he's retiring, he's buying a convertible. I'm just kidding, are you buying a convertible?
No.
No. Beautiful hair. All right, when I tie this into the back, this is another thing that I see a lot, is when you tie these haircuts into the back, by bringing this over and creating almost like a lift behind the ear, what you're gonna create is actually this line is gonna go just like this. So as that line turns the corner, his jaw becomes more masculine. As his jaw becomes more masculine, he can just literally just let this grow.
Joe, Nicole has asked, are you at or below the peridial ridge?
Ah, good question. She asked if I was at or below the peridial ridge. I'm below it. The ridge is up here, my weight is down here. Great question. Sometimes you'll feel hair, he has very thick hair, so it's almost like metallic feeling. But you can kind of see how that line is kind of dropping around his ear. Move that ear out of the way. Clean up these little tiny hairs right here.
Nikki said her brother has that bob going on and now she can fix him.
You know, and still grow out his hair. I'm gonna go back again with my flat topper, but this time I'm gonna barely use it. I told you I use my flat topper a lot. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just clean that line up just like this. Go right in there like that. And you would think I hardly took off any hair. But this is what you create. He no longer has this look. You see what you did? Look how thinner his face looks. Look how masculine his jaw looks. And his hair is still long in back. Quite long, actually. So we're gonna go on this side, and we're gonna cut his bob off on this side. All these tricks are not tricks that I invented. These are tricks I found out through the years from different people. I find that most of the time, especially as I've been in my journey of hair, my journey of hair has taken me in all kinds of directions. I was not a very good men's hair cutter up until probably, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago. And I just had to change something up. And I started doing men's hair cutting on stage. And I found out it was a lot of people had questions about it, things that came natural to me. The other thing I found out, especially with this kind of hair, is if you look at the type of hair he has, he could probably grow this hair very, very long, and it would still look really cool because he's got that kind of hair. It's not sparse. He doesn't have a million cowlicks kicking up in every direction.
Buster says, oh my gosh, what a difference. He looks like a new guy already.
Ah, tell Buster, thank you, thank you, thank you. Just by taking that little bit of weight off, it really creates a different look for him. Now, when your hair is natural, has it got a little curl to it?
It's pretty straight.
Is it really? In the back here, it's got some wave going on.
Yeah, we have a wave.
Rich, how many grandchildren do you have?
I have 11 grandchildren.
You are.
And the oldest just turned 10 last week, so they're all from 6 months or 10 months to 10.
Wow.
Joe, Debbie is asking, how do you determine what length to keep or remove sideburns on these types of fades?
Great question too. What I look at is I always check the jawline. If he was a heavier man, I would probably leave these sideburns a lot longer. But he's got a good jawline, good facial features, so I can do the sideburns however I want. So what I usually do is if I can see the facial features, always remember the two things that you need to know about visual. Visuals either go this way or this way. The reason why I say that is if you ever look in your mind's eye at photography, anything that's moving forward in the head, your eye is driven to it. Anything that's moving back away from the head, your eye is driven to it. So if you can take those 2 points and determine where his facial features are, that's what you try to create. So that's why when I would do his sideburns, I would clean his sideburns up. I would make them very square. If he was a little heavier, I would bring his sideburns down probably to about his earlobe. It elongates the face, gives the face a better look. There's a lot more goes into men's hair cutting than you think. Because it's not a matter of sitting in the chair and say, give me a number 2 on top and give me a number 7 on the, or number 2 on the bottom and number 7 around the top. Get to know your clients. Always talk to your clients about where their lives are, how they're doing. Like I would never thought Rich was just retiring. So he's just retiring. So now he's got a different outlook on, can he wear business hair if he wants? If he wants to wear his hair longer, he can, shaggier, he can. Know it. Talk to him. Clients are good people.
Debbie said, thank you for answering that sideburns question.
Yeah, that was just 2 seconds of a haircut. See how much change it made? Oh, where's my scissors? Gonna start blending this right across. Rich, I'm gonna throw a few layers on the back and the top just to even it out a little bit.
Okay.
You good with that? I used to have a girl that sat next to me that used to make the men, when she cut their hair, hold their own ear. It always used to make me laugh because it was so funny, because as a kid, when I used to get my hair cut, I used to think the barber should let me hold my own ear because I wasn't as mean as he was. So I learned to be very gentle on people's ears. I don't tug on them or yank on them or smash them or push them around too much. Oops, sorry. All right, we're gonna let it down just a little bit more, throw a few layers on the top. And remember that X I told you about? This is exactly what I do here too. Except when I make my X on this one, I still take my main guideline. It's right here in the top. There's my main guideline. I'm just gonna clean that line up, but everything's gonna come to this. So instead of walking my guideline this way, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull my guideline from here to here. And remember what I told you before, you have to stand behind them. If you stand on your side, you create weight that does not belong there. This is a great idea, especially for this kind of hair. He's growing it out. It's got a really cool look to it. Now see how a difference in his hair there is right there? You're taking off about 3.5 inches of hair that came from somewhere. Just came out of nowhere. All right, same thing. We're gonna comb through it, make sure that there's my guideline. Where am I gonna stand? Behind him. I'm not gonna stand on the sides. The minute you stand on the sides of this hair, if you stood here and cut that same haircut, what you would be doing is you would be pulling your weight this way. And by pulling your weight this way, you will get heavy sides on it again. And that's exactly what you don't want. That's why you stand behind. There's my guideline again. Take that corner off. Here's my guideline on this side. 11 grandkids. God bless you, man. My goal in life is to have 100 grandkids.
God bless his wife.
God bless your wife. I don't know if I can make it in this world without my wife. I'm tough, but I'm not that tough yet. All right. Now, I remember I told you we're picking this all up to one point. If you run out of hair, don't get nervous. He's growing his hair out. He's got a lot of hair. You took off one piece that was 3.5 inches longer than the rest. You did him a favor, will grow out more even. Looks a lot more, I wouldn't say professional, but it looks a lot more uniform. How's that? Is that a good word? Takes away all the pedestrianness of this haircut. Okay. I've run out of hair again right there. Gonna clean around his ears, get those eyebrows, a little bit on his neckline. Clean up like that. Thick eyebrows there, Rich. I think they made a bob wire. Look at that. That's my comb.
I was asking Rich is gonna wear a man bun.
Eventually gonna go for a man bun? There you go.
So just so you know, that Rachel and your friend is upset. The kid
Yeah,
and Rachel, they're both upset.
I'll cut him first and then I'll cut her. Is that okay?
Yes, I sent her a link, she's watching,
Okay.
so she knows now.
Down just a little bit. Rich. What? Look down. There you go. Perfect. Thank you. Good job. Okay. As I'm drying his hair, it's very, very long for the men's hair. A lot of times when I cut men with very long hair, I'll still cut this underneath like that, even though the hair hangs over. Because if they do a man bun or they pull it back or they want to wear their hair in a ponytail, what it does is it gives the effect as though it's a very clean line. Can you see himself? Rich, is this your modeling debut or have you done it before?
Well, modeling debut. Sure, I never asked before.
Never?
You know, did you like my hair or something? I don't know. Never asked me before. Usually when I was working, so I wore it pretty short, so, you know, more business-like, so I really wasn't much to do with my hair.
one of the good things about being in the hairdressing field as long as I've been in it. You can wear your hair anywhere you want, you can dress anywhere you want. Everybody's an individual. In my salon, I really promote being an individual too, because it seems like you can draw from the people as your personality and your look makes you. And I'm not saying they're any better or any worse at a hairdresser, but people like doing business with people they like. So if they look alike, chances are they're mirroring each other, chances are they're gonna be friends, chances are they're gonna be doing this for a long time. Hairdressing is a great industry for people that nowadays, if they want to be a little bit more artistic, but they still want to make the $3. All right, give me 2 seconds and put a little gel on them. Cut them loose.
I am, but no, not really. I don't mess with it.
Okay. How's that feel, Rich?
That's great.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Okay, hold on.
I'll check that out.
Gonna run my wide tooth comb through it.
No, you shouldn't.
Run my wide tooth comb through there. He's got his nice long hair.
No. That's.
Okay, Rich, we're gonna show him how you look. Look at you, you look like a new man. You do, man.
Thanks.
Gotta be careful out there. All right, now we took all that weight off from right around here, and we didn't even take off that much hair. Here, we just took a pie-shaped section, pulled everything through the pie-shaped section and cut that off. What you created is longer around here and still hasn't lost that much hair, but still gives a different look. Makes that face look like it's very thin and very masculine. The same thing with the back.
And taller too.
And taller too.
It says G Q and Buster totally agrees.
Buster agrees. Thank you, Buster. Thank you. There you go, Rich. Appreciate it. Yeah.
I don't know which part is.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
So that's a great example of I've used two different ideas. I've used the same idea to create two different looks just by moving that weight line around. In Rich's case, he's growing his hair longer. So by taking just that corner off, it actually gave his facial features a lot of what they were looking for. And you're always looking to do that, especially when you have clients. They look to you to lead them into what they're doing, especially in their fashion sense. I've found out many things about reinventing myself. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I move my salon every 5 years for one reason and one reason alone, is because I like the change of the footprint. And the reason why I say I like the change of the footprint is because you can redecorate, you can move things around, but the one thing you can't do is change the footprint. So by me doing that, I always felt as though I was giving my clients a new option, a new look, more diverse ideas. And the same thing with my stylists. They feel the exact same way. They're constantly telling me, you know, you're always moving. Oh, I like the way you did this. You redecorated this. This looks really cool. And the reason why I do that is I do it for them. I do it so they don't get tired of me. I do it so they don't get tired of my staff. I do it so they don't get tired of coming into the same business. I noticed that years ago with restaurants. I would go into the same restaurant for 10 years or 5 years in the city. And all of a sudden I decided that, you know, in 5 or 10 years, they haven't changed anything. So if they haven't changed anything in the restaurant, they probably haven't changed anything in their ideas. And in their idea.
Hi, buddy. The cute little puppy. Oh my God. Oh,
We just had our next model show up.
Okay, come. What? Say hi, Joe.
Yeah, you can take your jacket off.
Go ahead.
I can wear it.
In the pocket. How are you, Joe?
Fabulous.
Good, good. I have to come and see you. You just have to tell me when it's okay to not have
Gotcha.
Yeah, 'cause then I'll be there in a heartbeat.
So right now that we're live on TV, if you want to ask me any questions about constantly doing your ideas and your business or my 3 Rs, please throw it in. The next one I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually do a really cool, another fade. And it goes pretty quick. His name Constantino. Got a lot of hair today. Yeah, you know, your hair looks great as usual. So should we cut it pretty tight like we usually do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If any of you thought that first thing I did on that young blonde man, this is the same idea, except this time I'm doing it on some very thick hair. What we're gonna do is we're actually gonna take this hair. I might need to take off your glasses just for a second. Check out his hairline. Remember when I did the first one? I just literally took the clipper and nicked around his head like this. What I'm gonna do this because he has so much hair. I'm actually gonna take my flat topper and take off the bulk before I do anything. I'm gonna remove the bulk right there. Did you have school today? No. No? So I'm just getting this bulk out of here. When I come around the back, I'm actually gonna imagine my weight line coming like this and creating that line. The main thing I find out about men's hair cutting is if you talk to your clients, you'll know how aggressive they want to get as far as their lines go, as far as the length goes, as far as the weight goes. And it makes it a lot easier on you. I myself, I like to show pictures. I'm convinced that pictures will give you a guide, and especially most hairdressers are visual learners. So it's easier for them to see a picture and recreate it than it is to start creating something from a verbal conversation. Not to say that you don't talk to them, you have to talk to them quite a bit, but you also have to engage them in their ideas. Here's an idea that you can tell them just taking off bulk right now. If you see me on Instagram, a lot of times I create different kinds of hair necklines and hairlines. Usually with men, I don't create funky hairlines. But if I do get a once in a while, I will get one that's artistic and creative, and I will create a hairline for them. So taking off all this bulk here, watch what I do when I get the clipper right against the head. Just like that. Now in the salon, between me and you, we have a lot of fun, and especially doing what we do, but we also learning how to market ourselves nowadays. So we do a lot of Instagram, we do a lot of, not too much Facebook, but a lot of Instagram, a lot of that kind of stuff. Snapchat's a big. You know there's something else coming. You notice I only cut to the line. And I will tell you a funny secret, because if you cut down from the line like this, believe it or not, you soften the line. So by cutting up to it, I make it a harder line, so that when I blend it, it blends from where I want it to blend.
No, Rachel, like, where can I get one of those giant cones?
Honestly, they sell them at all kinds of beauty supplies. Rachel,
I know that,
huh?
I know that.
Cosmo has them. I know Sally's has them. I know they're online, but my son uses it also. Yeah. Yeah. You doing all right, bud? Yeah. You getting a little hot? Yeah.
Easy work.
Yeah, I'm good. What I'm gonna do next is I'm actually gonna take my little clipper like this, and I'm gonna outline my perimeter. But this one, I'm gonna do a lot of scooping. Masculine line in the back. I'm gonna take this right around his ear. Use the point of the clipper to make that line clean. We'll go right in there like that. Taking those little nick lines out of there. Somebody asked before if I ever use guards. On something like this, I would probably use a guard just in the beginning to scoop it. And the reason why I would use a guard to scoop it is because his hair is basically so thick. Let me see if I have a guard on me. If I don't have a guard on me, I can do it with my other scissor. Yep, I do. Because his hair is so thick, what I would do with this is I would actually put the guard on there, and I would do the exact scooping motion that I did before. Now, when you scoop this, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go right in like this and scoop it. Hit this a little bit. And you're creating your scoop line right there. When you create that line, it's easy to put in and take out. He has very, very thick hair.
What guard number is that, Joe?
This is actually a 0. When you scoop out with a 0, it just gets rid of that hard line. And when I blend this out with a blending comb, I'll actually go back over it again with my actual clipper and just clean it out and scoop it out. if you use a zero, if you're comfortable with it, if you're using a zero guard, I think you can work faster if you're comfortable with it. To me, I just use it to get weight out. I'm gonna do the exact same thing. I'm gonna take that angle. As I'm taking that angle, I'm blending this line just a little bit more each time. I haven't started scooping it yet. Are you guys enjoying this idea? This is just another way of blending a fade. Yeah. It's important to always keep this at an angle. You go too square.
Michael's enjoying it very much, and your mom says, great tip.
You keep it at that angle. See how you're getting that angle, just so it's not a real hard blended line. Okay, now what you're gonna do, because you got that all done, is you're actually gonna go through and start your scooping. Put down there. Remember I told you before, you decide where you want your line. So when you do cut it and you do scoop it, you can't put the line down here, or you can't put the line up here and think you're gonna scoop it to here. You put the line down here, you can scoop it up to there. So you just gradually scooping through that hairline, fading that line as clean as could be. Now you can see how much I scooped that line out and how easy it went. And that was a thick head of hair. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm actually gonna do the exact same thing again. I'm gonna take my flat topper. And I'm gonna clean right into that line. There's my guide. Can you see my guide on the bottom? That's my guide. I'm gonna cut right into that guide. There's my guide. Take that bottom. There's my guide. There's my guide. There's my guide again. Looking good. Now this is a head of hair that's pretty easy to mess up a fade on, because I told you it's so thick and so dark. And when you do your fades on this, you want to always make sure that you have that control and you have that guideline. If you don't see this guideline down here, don't go into it and pop that guideline out. What you want to do is just soften that guideline every time, just a touch more. As you soften that guideline, you start to see the fade line blend right in because you've already scooped it out. Keep your guidelines moving. Look at that right there. Look at that. All right. Remember what I told you before about that thinning shear. This is a great example where you can use that and get away with so many things. I'm going to go right up the side of his head. I'm going to thin that right into there. So if you notice, when I'm cutting with this, you're not seeing hack marks. Or if I cut with the other thinning shear, you would see giant hack marks.
So no line.
It's a no, exactly. Jerry said this is called a no line blender. And what it allows you to do, it allows you to take that hair and take that weight off without having hack lines on it. And it happens a lot when people fade. So you're seeing nothing but hair moving right now. And this hair looks like it's moving in one direction, and that's straight up. Even though it's not, that's what it appears to be. That's what a fade does. A fade is a visual eye line. Remember before I told you there's two ways that people look at visually. They look this way from the head and they look this way from the head. A fade actually does that. It pushes the motion of the head this way. For those of you who are into photography, that's exactly what you understand when you get a great picture. You okay, buddy?
Yeah.
Good. He has a lot of hair. You want to put a line in it, or you want to just no line today?
So Cindy is asking, how do you know which thinning shears to use when blending?
I always use what are they called, Jerry?
No line blender.
A no-line blender. If I'm doing chunky work, which is usually not to blend, I will use the chunking shears, which is a chunking shear that looks like this. There's a difference.
The reason they call it a no-line blender is because, well, with a regular thinning shear, there's a solid blade on one side. And what that does is it pushes the hair that's not being cut in between the teeth. So if it's got that long straight blade on there, it's gonna make an indentation, it's gonna fray the hair, and you're gonna see the lines. But this has got teeth on both sides, so there's no pushing. It just cuts it off, and it leaves that hair alone that falls between the teeth.
Exactly. All right, now I'm gonna take my point that I took before. I'm gonna start here, and I'm gonna do what? I'm gonna cut from behind. When I cut this line coming this way, I'm gonna stand on this side. When I cut this line coming this way, I'm gonna stand on this side. I'm gonna cut my first line right down the middle. When I cut this line down the middle, I'm gonna come back and actually chunk it up pretty good. The hair is moving beautifully for me. So what we're doing now, I'm gonna finish this off like this. Remember I told you before about my line? This is my line going forward. Now in this scenario, he doesn't have a cowlick there. He has a very, 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 very slight movement in his hairline, but I'm actually going to create a cowlick. And the way I'm going to create a cowlick is when I take this straight line, I'm going to turn it severe. You see how I'm taking all that hair off? And that will create a cowlick. Because short hair pushes long hair, yes or no? But now when I make, oops, sorry. Now when I make my X, I go down like this. I'm gonna do one more on, there's my point. See, I'm taking that point off again. As I'm taking that point off, I'm gonna go this way. Where am I standing? Behind. Now I've created my point. I've created my point. There's my corner again. I'm going to take that corner off. And this time when I blend, instead of blending it this way, I'm gonna actually blend it this way. So what I'm saying about that is, this is gonna be my shorter line right here. So there's my 2 points. There's my guideline. When I blend it this way, remember I told you I created a cowlick. So what I want to do is give this the appearance as though this hair is shorter on this side and pushing itself to this side. So here we go. There's that cowlick again right there. That's what I've created. Okay, now that's the difference in the hair length right there. You see that right there? That's the difference. There's my cowlick that I created. When I'm creating a cowlick like that, I know what I want that hair to do. I want that hair to move to that side. So when I come to this side, I'm still gonna cut from behind. But watch what I do with my guideline. There's my guideline. There's my guideline. I'm gonna pull my fingers up, but I'm gonna rest the palm of my hand on the side of his head. When I rest the palm of my hand on the side of his head, it makes me cut this way. So I'm actually cutting at an angle. See? Rested on the side of his head. Always standing behind him. Resting it on the, rest my palm on the side of his head and standing behind him. And I am actually creating a cowlick that is not there. I'm actually putting a cowlick in his head with my own visual cutting. Now see how long that is? If I was to cut into that right now, I would take off my whole idea. So I'm going to use that little bit of a point and take it into that cowlick. I'm going to blend these. There's the corner. Blend this. There's that corner. By getting in the habit of resting your palm on the head, it's kind of like an artist does with a paintbrush. They hold that little wood thing and they paint from it. It allows you to control the movement of the hair much more. There you go. Okay, there's my X. Instead of taking it all off, I'm just going to go right off the corner of the guideline. Here's my X again. There's the corner of my guideline. Don't take too much off there. There's the corner of your guideline. Now I'm going to come back here and I'm going to take this. There's the corner. Here's the corner. There's the corner. Now, as I'm going around like this, you're going to see, see this piece here? Why is this piece so much longer than the others were? That's because when I cut it with the flat topper, sometimes you miss them. That's why you have to cross-check and check your haircuts time and time and time and time again. So now I've created a haircut that looks like he has a cowlick here, comes across like that. And remember I told you before what Jerry was explaining about chunking shears? They have a blade in them that cuts and pushes. So what I'm going to do is when I cut this head of hair, I'm going to take my chunking blades and I'm going to go right into it like I'm creating it. You okay, buddy?
Yeah.
Nope, I'm going to take my blending shears and just blend out this corner right here. Okay. As you can tell, it's starting to look like it's really coming together fast. Let me look at you, buddy. This is a great haircut for his face. This haircut complements his facial features so much. Okay, make the hard line. Make the hard line around his hairline. Now this is an easy haircut because it just fits. That's why you have to talk to your clients, get pictures, understand what they want, what they don't want. I actually got this haircut from the movie Captain America.
Great haircut for his face, it looks good, that's what Maria said.
Now, Maria, we said thank you, and thank you. Just a little more blending. What?
Therese said he looks older, very polished.
Very proud. It's so funny, I have some people, I'm in the fourth generation, and they'll be talking about their grandmother, and I'm thinking they're talking about their mother, and it's actually, I knew the great grandmother. So it gets very confusing. Let me look at you.
Shanna asks, is your blow dryer that quiet? What kind is it?
It's a Babyliss. My blow dryer is very quiet, but I also talk very loud. So don't give all the credit to my blow dryer.
And WK asks, what would you do differently if the client does not want so much skin showing around the ears and nape?
Oh, I would cut it instead of cutting it with a skin fade, I would just cut it with basically a guard. I'd use the guard as my guide. Now, I created that colic in his head right there. I know you're gonna say, well, there was a colic there. That was a very tiny collar. I went in there with scissors and aggressively took it out. That's why I created it. Them thinning shears, the notching shears, when you start doing this, you're gonna pull this stuff the way you want it to do it, the way you want to control it. How's that feel, bud?
Good.
All right. Mr. Constantine. Constantino, right? All right. Is that a beautiful haircut or what? Look like a new man. Check the neckline. And we got applause and everything.
Yeah.
Check the neckline. Give you a spin around. Is that a good looking haircut or what? All right, buddy. You go have a good positive day. All right, my next one's gonna be a girl's cut. Her name is Rachel.
Rachel London.
So we're gonna see what Rachel wants me to do here. I'm gonna go from there.
Elizabeth Frank says nice haircut and Maria says love it. Debbie asks, would you still carve out the weight line when leaving it longer?
Yes, I would carve out the weight line and I would leave it longer and I would blend it with either, I would blend, if I was gonna leave that longer without a skin fade, I would do one of two things. I would either cut my weight line in it and then go back at it like I did with Rich, using my flat topper, or bye sweetie, have a great day. Hi, Ben. How are you?
Good, how are you? Do you remember me?
Yep.
All right, I knew you would as soon as you saw my face.
Hair that looks awesome.
My daughter cut it.
It looks awesome.
All right,
It's right there.
all right, yeah, I
Right
have
there.
to,
So what I would do is I would blend that with a flat topper and make a quick blend line.
whatever you
And-
want, like whatever, you do whatever you want.
Okay. As I'm blending that, I would not take off so much. The reason why I showed people how to do a skin fade is because it's probably the scariest thing of every hairdresser that I know when it comes to men cutting. I'm not saying I'm perfected at it, but I do quite a few of them. I get a lot of requests for them from other people that I've done in the past. So what I'm basically telling you is there's so many different ideas that you can use for this. Sometimes I'll do it on the underneath just to make a gentleman's haircut look clean and still leave it long on top. Look at their face, determine what idea you want to finish with their face with, or you can do what I do actually is I sketch out my ideas on a book standing on the side of me. A lot of times, especially if I'm doing somebody from short to long, I will sketch it out. I will get a picture on the internet. Pinterest is a great idea. We all know that. Everybody I know in the world uses Pinterest. And we'll go from there. I'm on Pinterest. You should be on Pinterest. The hair industry's changed quite a bit because of the pandemic. And as we all know, the pandemic has hurt some salons, but it's also helped some people. I'm constantly on this idea that you have to recreate yourself on a constant basis. I actually call it my 3 R's. My 3 R's are rejuvenate, redefine, and re-engage. So when you're engaging on it, you have to look at what you're doing. Hi, babe. Hi, this is Rachel. She's my next haircut. I dig your style.
My 9-year-old daughter cut it.
Your 9-year-old daughter, maybe she's got a job in the beauty industry.
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna razor cut this.
whatever you want. I like the length here.
Gotcha.
I like all of this. I
Gotcha.
hate this, like, I call it my Mrs. Brady.
Debbie said, thanks for explaining all of that, Joe, and Ramona said, love your energy.
Thank you. Thank both of you for What we're gonna do here is we're gonna do a disconnected haircut.
Perfect.
And anybody who knows anything about disconnection, it's probably one of the things that's got me the farthest in this business, especially with the people and especially with my haircutting. What I'm gonna do when I disconnect this haircut is I'm gonna make myself a horseshoe completely around her head. And I'm gonna actually take it down into a V like this.
Okay.
Normally with these, I take them up to here, but with this one, I wanna make sure her occipital bone shows just a little more. So that line is a lot cleaner. And then I'm gonna come around like this. And I'm actually gonna make the right side not as short as the left side.
I like the left side shorter or longer.
The left side longer.
I like the left
You go
side
that way?
longer.
You go this way.
Yeah, even though my natural colic is
Oh,
here, I actually prefer that.
okay, so we're gonna change it and go the opposite way. We're gonna make this side not as short. And make that side shorter.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Gonna make that V in the hair. As you can see, when you part this off, it's important to make your partings nice, but it's not, they don't have to be perfect. You try to make them as perfect as you can, and it seems like they always get discombobulated and take more time than they really should. Now, to do this haircut, what you're gonna need is, first of all, you're gonna need a sharp razor. Unless you're really mad at the person, then you use a dull razor. And the other thing you're gonna need is you're gonna need yourself a little clippy like this. See this little clippy? That's gonna determine my section. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start here in the back. I'm gonna go over, I'm actually gonna change my blade in my razor because I like this person.
Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome. When I'm creating these lines, this is actually a way of making you're diffusing a line. So by diffusing a line, you're gonna create a movement, but it's gonna be a diffused movement. Remember, I told you that you're not gonna take anything thicker than your finger. And this is gonna be your guide. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my section, look down, please. I'm gonna take my section like this.
Straighter, sorry.
I'm gonna take my section down like this, and I'm gonna take just a strip like this. And this is how I'm gonna determine my guide going this way and my guide going this way. I'm gonna take that like that. I'm gonna pin this off like this. I'm gonna take my fingers, get underneath that like that. And I'm just gonna take that hair right off. And that's gonna start making my traveling guideline. Now, as I make my guideline travel, what you're gonna see me do is this is gonna be my blend from underneath. I'm gonna pull past that line with my fingers, find that guide and pull. So that's what you're doing. You're creating a very choppy guideline, but you're still moving it, not too thick. If you take too thick of sections, it does not work. Go past your last guideline. As you slide past that guideline, put your razor underneath and take that hair off. Now that is creating that line. Because you're going to have a traveling guide, you're going in two different directions. When you mark this off, I'm going to put a clippy right here when I'm done with this section, so I know where my section began. And I'm going to work to the left. As I'm working, I go past my guide. By the way, I cut these in the salon all the time. I can cut them so fast, I can literally cut them in 8 minutes. Doesn't take a lot to get really fast at this. Remember what I told you before? I'll just take a mark and I just take a flippy. There's my mark for that side. Now, when I come to cut the right side of her head, I know that my mark starts there and I'll start making my hair get longer. When I'm coming this way, I make my hair go shorter by keeping my fingers squarer. Now, I determined already by her jawline and the way I looked at her facial features, I like the way her hair moves towards her face. I'm going to take my guideline again. Now watch what I do with my fingers, because this is important. I'm going to take my fingers and I'm going to pull past the guideline and I'm square to her head. My fingers are this way to her head. I'm just going to take that hair right off. I'm going to do that all the way up this. Taking each one of my sections about the size of my finger. There it is, past it. Now you can already see how creative that's looking. It's got a really cool movement to it. Anybody who's ever done disconnected hair loves his ideas. Anybody who's ever done disconnected hair with a razor, you can get so creative.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
You can do whatever you want to,
Oh, very cool.
like,
Yes,
go nuts. I don't, I'm flexible.
You got it.
you're rich, coach, which one?
What I'm doing is I'm blending it out like this,
School.
taking it right across like that. I'm gonna get a little drink of water. I've been talking.
No, that's fine.
You see how artistic?
Okay.
I'll give you a really cool haircut.
Mhm.
So here's my guideline again. So now I'm gonna come over to this section. I'm gonna do the exact same thing. I'm gonna slice that section off. And remember, this is a traveling guideline. So if you have a traveling guideline, you have to determine whether you want it tight to the head, square to the head, angled to the head. So this one here, we're gonna leave that just a little bit right there. But as we come up to the next one here, we're gonna go take this straight across. Now, if you watch the way I take it straight across, my body's square to the head, my hands right underneath, I slide past my guideline, and there you go. Now, for some reason, if you don't have a sharp enough razor, she can tell you, she can feel every movement. If you don't have a sharp enough razor, it's actually a painful experience. So when I used to cut my mother-in-law's hair, this is how I cut it with the dullest razor I could find. I'd usually try to. This is actually a true story. I was in North Carolina teaching a class on razor cutting, and a young lady told me, "Joe, I do everything the way you do it, and my haircuts never come out like that." And I said, "Do you do this? Do you do that?" She said, "Yeah, I do that. And I do the striking. I do the up cutting." So as we were talking, I leaned over and I went to change my razor blade, and she looked at me and she said, "They come out?" Imagine the haircuts that lady she was doing. Them poor people were like, she had never changed her razor blade.
Oh.
It had to be painful. Past the guideline, right underneath. There you go. Now you're creating the texture. Now, if they have very, very curly hair and you want to create a cool texture, this is a cool texture on curly hair.
My hair is actually curly.
Oh, great. It'll work. You won't have to do so much. You'll be able to play with it and it'll.
I just dry it straight.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Underneath, there's my guideline. And if you miss a piece or something like that, don't be scared. It's a razor. You're creating Christmas trees. Instead of your Christmas trees going like this, when you feather it, you're creating the exact opposite. You're creating Christmas trees that go up. So this texture that you're getting is actually unusual texture to the eye. It's not unusual to the hair, it's just unusual to the eye. So it creates a very messy texture to it. Oh my God, you got the perfect hair for this haircut too. You do. It's amazing. It's like I couldn't have asked for a better person.
Well, thank you for doing it, getting in.
This disconnection, if you notice when you're disconnecting this hair, this guideline is following you everywhere you go. That's why I stand square to it. When I cut the other side, you watch how much my body language changes as far as the cutting goes. I'll be stepping farther away. You'll be seeing more of my arms away from my body. But as I'm going on this side, I'm keeping it pretty tight. So I'm making sure that that tightness gives it that look. There's two ways of blending this, and I'll show you how to blend it too. Now, there's two schools of thought here. Some people like it around the ear very clean. Some people like it around the ear very choppy. To me, it doesn't matter. I usually ask the client what they'd be more happy with.
I have really small ears. I like my ears, so.
Show them away.
Yep. That's the one thing I like.
So when we're done here with Nicole, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back and clean up that ear. I'm gonna leave a little bit of fringe, so it gives me an option of just making that ear look, that facial feature look more angular. There we go. Now notice I'm standing perpendicular to the body. I mean square to the body. And I'm going right through that.
My whole hand, okay.
You are doing fabulous. Doing a great job. So we're going like this. Now here, I'm going to leave this out. I'm going to drop this out, but I'm going to take my guideline straight across. So I'm going to take my guideline straight across like that. I'm underneath here. There's my guideline. So we're going to come back and address the side later. We're going to go back over here like I told you before. Now you can see how much difference there is. This is a little fringier. This is a little fuller. That's very clean lined. By the way, when you do this, it's very, very important that you either do it with a cutting gel or you do it very wet. As I cut these things, as I've learned to cut them through my life, I learned that if somebody has really harsh hair, I try to use a cutting gel on them. If somebody has hair very similar to hers, I will use water on it because it's so gentle. Now, the minute I did this, remember I told you you're going to start to move this line? What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to step away a little bit and I'm going to start turning this line. Can you see how I turn my fingers? They're not square to the head. They're actually turned. So I'm going back into the head like this. I'm turning my razor and taking it off like that. That's what you're creating. You're starting to create a weight line moving that direction.
Joe, we have a question. What kind of texture would you create if you cut with the razor going down?
If you cut with the razor going down, you would create the opposite look than this. You would have what they call, that's called a feathering technique. And what it would do is these pieces, instead of looking like a shingle to a roof, they would look the opposite. They would look like they were all diverse. So that would be even more textured and it would be less hugging to the head. Does that make sense to you? Because by doing this, you're taking that underneath of that hair. Now, I have seen people who do this, and I've done it quite a few times myself, is I would take this and I would take a section this way and do it. You can do that, by the way. It's not wrong to do it. It's the artistic, how artistic you want to be. Now, do you see the difference? This is right next to the head, and this is only about an inch and a half long. So what you're creating is this is going to come back like this and create that movement. Now, as you come around to this side, that shorter hair is going to push this longer hair. It's pretty easy stuff. When I get to this corner right here, I'm going to transition again. I'm going to take my two fingers, slide past my guideline. You can see my guideline is right there. I'm gonna slide past my guideline, turn my razor at an angle, and take that hair off. As you drop that hair out, you're creating a whole scenario of this hair pushing over to one side. If you can get razor cutting down, I cut so fast with a razor. This haircut usually takes me in the salon probably about 8 to 10 minutes, and I talk for another 20. So, see the way I hold my fingers right there? Taking it off. That's creating that movement. This is a traveling guideline that's square. Now this is a traveling guideline that you're adding weight to. As you add this weight, there's my guideline. Right here's my guideline. Go past my guideline, turn my razor at an angle. Now, normally here I could actually run out of hair if I wanted to,
Mhm.
but I'm going to change the angle again. Because I want a cool look out of it, I'm going to change the angle one more time. That angle that I was cutting this way that makes this hair push over like this. That makes his hair push over like this. I'm now going to change it again because I'm going to cut it around the ear. So remember over there, I told you I was going to cut it square. Over here, I loosened up my angle. Now I'm going back the opposite way. I'm going back to square. Left that hair there. Take it to here. The minute I get in front of this ear, I'm going to change my angle again. So basically, if you could hold this hair out straight from the head, it would look like it went like this, like this, like this, and then back out to here, and then it's going to go back out again. So this time when I take this section like this, I'm going to move my hands and tilt them forward, tilt them at an angle. Can you see that angle? I'm going to tilt them at an angle like that, and I'm just going to take that off like that. Do it again right here. Calm that hair down. Make sure it's damp. Take that angle with my razor. Take the angle with my razor. And clean it off again. So now this will be her heavy side. I'll do it the other way like this. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Just what we do. So now you got a disconnected haircut because you got all this underneath here is short. All this on top of here is long. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to take a section back here. Since she goes this way, we're going to take our section on the other side. We're going to take our section on the side and start blending from here. I'm going to take a pie-shaped section. I'm going to bring this section right into that section like that. And now I'm going to feather it. Now, when I feather this, I'm going to use the back side of my razor with the meat. So that's what you're creating. So you got a whole back side of the razor that's doing all the cutting right here. Take another pie-shaped section. Bring it there. And feather through it. By feathering this hair like this, I'm actually making this hair move in the directions I want to make it move, with the idea that she's going to wear it however she wants, because she can wear it both ways. You can't say that too many times in a hair salon. There's that hair, there's that pie-shaped section. It's all coming to this way. Look at how cool that's looking. See how you're creating this? Look at this. Kind of starts looking like art. Making a, molding something out of clay and it's becoming a statue.
Hairdressing is an art.
Hairdressing,
We're artisans.
we're artists. Okay, we're gonna blend this line just a touch. Blend this line just a touch. Okay. And remember I told you I blended it this way, now I'm gonna blend it the opposite way. Now when I'm all done blending that way and that way, I'm gonna go back through and clean up my ears. All right, here's my pie shaped section right here. Now remember before I stood square on this side, so everything should be bulky on this side. And that's exactly what happened. So I'm gonna take it down to my weight line, my guideline, which is right here. You can see my guideline underneath. I'm gonna take it to my guideline. Feather it down with the back side of the razor. Gonna do this again. But you gotta keep pulling it in the same direction. Notice I'm standing in the same spot. I'm not moving around a lot. I want that hair to move forward, but I don't want it to be too clumpy. If clumpy is a word. Can you believe it? They pay us for this stuff. All right, there's probably my last section is right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just take that butt end of my razor and blend that like that. Remember I told you it's good if you keep it very wet. Me personally, with this kind of a haircut, if I was gonna be doing her for a photo shoot, I'd be putting this in the guidelines is, am I gonna be able to do a finger wave on this? And yes, this hair is great waving hair. She has just enough bleach on there where you're gonna break it up. So you're gonna create your motion right in there. Taking off these little ends. Remember I told you sometimes you miss those little ends. Don't worry about them. Okay. I'm actually gonna use a scissor. And I'm gonna go take this right around this ear here. I'm gonna take that just like that. And clean that up just like that. I'm gonna dry this and then I'm gonna cut the rest of it. These lines are awesome. Great hair color.
Thanks. I'm gonna probably go home and color it purple.
Purple.
Yep.
It's a good color on a Tuesday.
It's just, life is full of changes, so I'm ready for something new.
And that's it. You got the hair for it. The personality, the look. Gotta use a little bump it up on there.
Okay.
And bleach is taking a little bit more out of it than I wanted.
Yeah. I was trying to get it as fresh as possible, but I didn't do a toner.
Ah.
No, I didn't do the viral.
What are you using for bump it up?
Bump it up.
Is that what it's called? Oh, nice.
Yeah, this is my own product. I do a lot of products for other companies. And I went through this product 7 times and no company took it. So I just called up the manufacturer and said, how much does it cost to make it? They made it for me and I've had it for 20 years.
Oh, cool.
Oh, it's fantastic. Fantastic.
Joey's taking orders.
Actually, we had such a hard time getting it during the pandemic because the bottles came from China and we couldn't get them. So they just sent us gallons and we found somebody right here in Tinley Park who made the little pumps. And the lady made us the pumps and we might keep it that way. We're pretty happy with the turnout.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it worked out good. A lot of times when you look at products for companies, it gets really strange because companies are looking for an idea
Right.
and they want you to judge their product. So you judge their product on your ideas. It might not be their ideas.
Right.
So the first time I judged this and they send you a whole bunch of mousses and I picked this one out as one of my top ones. They didn't use it. The second company, exactly the same thing. The third company, say exactly the same thing. By the third time, I knew what this mousse did. I was like, I know exactly what this is. I can use it for what I need. I can use it.
That's actually my favorite. Like, I'm not gonna do similar to that, but I was thinking of one.
Oh, yeah. Joey's in the front.
Yeah. Okay.
For you.
Are you liking this haircut? Are you liking it?
Me?
Oh, everybody online.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm not being sold, but I'm building a house.
Wow.
I have to move in between. It's lovely here.
Everybody in the world's doing exactly what you're doing, man. Houses are being sold as we talk. People are looking for rentals as we talk.
Yeah. Crazy.
It's great.
Yeah, it's sold in 3 days.
Wow.
I love them.
Okay, as I'm blow drying this, you can kind of see how that choppiness and that underneath is kind of making its own statement. It's a very cool idea. The wears are fantastic. And this is a great example of somebody who doesn't have great hair for dry cutting, but has great hair for razor cutting. I would probably not dry cut her hair that much because it is finer hair. The razor just works for it. It makes it look like it's choppier and more authentic. Takes the pedestrian out of it. So when you're trying to, especially when you're trying to stay away from that pedestrian look, like obviously she is. She's got her own unique style. The motion that I'm using, especially with the brush, the reason why I'm so free and easy with it, because when I'm all done, I'm gonna flat iron this, I'm gonna dry cut just the top area.
Hello.
Hi, Sean. See, now you guys know what I do on my days off.
Awesome. Is there a day off?
There is no day off, yeah.
There's no such thing.
I've been trying to work that system out for years, I just can't get it. So you're gonna build a new home, huh?
Yeah.
That's an adventure.
Yep. My husband and I bought a camper.
Nice,
And we took down about 100 trees ourselves.
nice.
So,
Most people don't know this, but I live on a farm.
okay. I believe it. I want my space.
Now look at how this hair is flowing. This is a great haircut for great direction. You don't get much of a better look out of a better head of hair. This was like the perfect scenario.
I was like, you need models?
I needed one. All right, what we're gonna do now, because we got this all cleaned up, we're just gonna finish her up. You can use whatever you want. It doesn't matter to me. When I dry cut, I like to use shine. Sometimes I'll use shine, sometimes I use hairspray. In this case, I'm definitely gonna use shine. Shine's a great protectant, especially when you're adding heat to this type of a hair. When you add heat this quick in this motion, you gotta watch, see how it's not sticking to anything.
Joe, Kim is asking, do you always blow with a paddle brush?
I do not. I use all kinds of brushes. I use anything that's available to make or create what I need to create. The paddle brush happened to work on this one because I needed the choppiness to show from the layers that I put in with the razor. But I wasn't, on the other hand, I wasn't nervous about it. If I had to use a round brush on this, I could. That make sense? Did that answer her question? Did that answer your question? The question was, do I always blow dry with a paddle brush?
Kim says yes.
You can already see how cool this haircut's looking. Most of the time in the salon, I do a lot of short hair, and I mean a lot of short hair. What I found out through all my years is, as far as my age wise goes, I'm probably one of the busiest hairdressers for my age, and I'm not telling you my age, so don't ask. But I do a lot of short hair, and a lot of my short hair clients, or even more short hair clients, because one of the words comes out of most of their mouth is that I know a girl who has short hair, but she always has different short hair. So by having a technique like this and just being able to change that little bit, you give a new look to exactly short hair. This is short hair. But short hair people want to change too. They don't want the same little pixie cut or the same little weighted haircut. They want a new dimension. You didn't think this would look that cool, did you? That's a neat idea for this haircut. I'm kind of shocked on how good her hair is. Did you dye this yourself?
I did.
Good
It's
job.
actually sad because it wasn't as light as I wanted it, but
Got a little pink at the base. I really like it.
thanks.
Use a beige toner, or you didn't use a toner?
I used viral conditioner,
Ah,
so it kind of takes funky. So I've been like trying to wash it out. Because I was like, I can't be, I look like an Easter egg.
it's kind of amazing knowing hairdressing. Sometimes you make an oops that turns out to be a ooh.
Oh,
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
The miracles of hair.
And now I'm gonna go home and color it purple,
Nice. Bright purple or
bright purple.
nice.
Yep.
Send us a picture.
Yeah, send us a picture. We'll put it
Okay.
up. Jerry will put it up. Jerry will let me touch it.
Yeah,
Not old enough.
yeah, I'm gonna go home and color it purple.
All right, as I'm doing this, I'm taking these sections. Remember though, I know she wants this hair to come from here to here, but she can still wear it both ways. It doesn't have to be worn this way. She's got all kinds of options in there. She can manipulate it however she feels comfortable with it. It seems to me, and this is just what I got out of meeting her, is she's very fashion conscious, the lady. She's not scared of things. And so being the way she is, she will have that option. And she's probably going to be very comfortable with that option. I'm going to cut a funky neckline on her too, by the way. I usually like to make
Awesome.
I usually like to make my statements in my necklines.
All right.
Tip look down just a little bit.
Mhm. Is that good?
Oh, you are fantastic. You don't have to curl these on the end. I'm just curling it because it makes me feel like I'm doing more. And when I cut her neckline, What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna, remember I told you before, she wears her hair from here to here. But if you look at her facial features, wearing very symmetrical hair is not good on her. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take her hairline the way we take her haircut, and we're gonna make it not so symmetrical. So we're
Debbie
gonna,
says, I love that sassy look, gorgeous.
ah,
Thanks.
tell her thank you. We love her too. So I'm gonna cut that hairline like that. I'm gonna pull this back, cut this up into here. And then I'm gonna clip her. One of the things I've found in all my years is there's two different generations. Two different generations. Some ladies hear the clipper and all they want to do is run. Some ladies hear the clipper and they're thrilled to death, so. This is one of them. Okay. Now what we've created here is a neckline that's asymmetrical, haircut that's asymmetrical, but it's disconnected. There's two haircuts going on here at the same time. If you don't understand disconnected haircuts, a disconnected haircut is two similar haircuts on any head at the same time. It doesn't mean it has to be shorter underneath and longer on top. It could be nothing on top and shagged out around here. You can leave fringing out. All that stuff is disconnected. When you own disconnections, you will find out you become more artistic of a hair cutter as well as a hairdresser. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do a little shatter cutting, which I'll take this down pretty fast. As I shatter cut this, I'm cutting the same way. Remember that pie shaped section I told you I was cutting before? Cutting the exact same idea. So this is her long side, this is her short side. So when I cut on this side, I'm gonna cut closer to the head. Keep that hair really tight with my movements. These channel cuttings will make this little piece in back do almost like what I did with that last young man's haircut. You're almost creating a cowlick by moving that hair. As you can see, every time I make them little cuts in there, that little shattering is making these little tiny hairs. And then those little tiny hairs will make this hair move in a direction.
My 9-year-old wasn't able to do it.
She wasn't? Her 9-year-old cut her hair last night.
Last 2 times.
She had a great idea. Ask her if she's looking for a job. I need somebody. I just pay her in cookies.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Here, just do this.
Now, when you're messing with this kind of hair, it'll do whatever you want it to do. So you gotta, don't push it too much. I'm going to use a little bit more product on this than I have before. So I'm going to go through, pick this up like this, pick this up like this.
Teresa says, love this haircut on her, beautiful job. Joe, definitely trying this.
Ah!
Debbie K says, oh my, those shears are huge.
Shears are big ones. I didn't even see what shears you had.
Tell her I do landscaping as well as hair cutting, so I can get the. Look at me.
Oh, 7 inches?
They're like 10.
10, okay.
Yeah.
Who's in line to you?
I use those. You use those ones.
Okay. Little hairspray. What I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna go through this real light with a wide tooth comb.
Kim says messiness never looked so good.
Ah, tell Kim, thank you, Kim. Great, wow. I don't know where Jerry found you.
She found me.
It's diamond in the rough.
I saw the class, I was like, wait, I need my hours and I haven't, like,
Ramona said she is really enjoying this class. And Debbie said, yes, thanks, so excellent class.
this is a good class. I was watching it on the street.
Don't say that, it sounds terrible. I'm on the street watching.
I was on the street.
How's that feel, babe?
It feels great.
Looks great.
How's it look, guys?
Very good, very good.
Can you handle it?
I
Thank
told,
you,
I
Nicole.
told Jerry you could have given me a mohawk, I wouldn't have cared.
You got a mohawk underneath. Thank you, babe. Yeah,
you.
God bless.
God bless. I'll see you in the
Good
next
luck with
class.
everything.
Thanks.
Pictures, huh?
Oh, yeah, get a couple pictures of that. All right, my next one I'm gonna do is a young man, and somebody asked a question before. Do I only do skin fades? I don't only do skin fades. I actually do a lot of times, I do haircuts that people every day use. He's a great guy. He's a young man. He's actually an athlete. He's hurt right now, so we get to use him as a model. This is my guy, Sean. Come on in here, Sean. Yeah. Can't cut hair with a hat on.
No problem. Debbie Kay says, can't wait to see your hair grow. Yes.
I will.
No
Nicole
problem at all.
said, great, Eliza says, great class, thank you, and Nikita said, great class. You're getting rave reviews, Joe.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Thank you
you're
all.
always fun. You're always fun.
Joe, me.
This is my friend Sean. My friend Sean, this is his son Sean. So this time when I cut a weighted haircut, I'm not gonna clipper cut it to the bone. I'm actually gonna give him just a nice layered haircut. I'm not even gonna take anything off the front, but everything else, I'm just gonna clean it up. I will show you how to do just a very nice guy's haircut. Showed you a couple different tricks. I'm gonna use probably every trick on this one. So, as
You're gonna do a road break or?
rope break. All right, I'm gonna start off, I'm just gonna clean up his sides. And remember I showed you before how I use a flat topper. This would be a great example of taking a flat topper and not using it to go too short.
Debbie Kay says, bravo, Bill, any other classes coming up?
There are planning more classes, and if Joe wants to do them, you can.
There you go. Jerry books all my classes. Right now, I'm not working for a product company like I usually have. And so what we're doing now is just kind of whatever Jerry wants to do, we'll be doing. As you can see, Mr. Sean right here,
I'm gonna go out for dinner.
very, very square features. So you can do anything you want to do. I'm gonna take these angles and just use them to my advantage.
I'll take care of it later.
I'll clean this up. Get down there, Mr. Sean. Remember, I told you before about rounded necklines and being feminine. This is exactly the case on his natural neckline. His natural neckline is very rounded. Now you have to take that neckline and make it masculine. So watch what I'm gonna do with this. When I clean up these lines on the side, I'm not gonna take them too much to a point. I'm actually gonna take them at an angle like this. Once I take these at an angle like this, what I've created is the option of going straight across. Okay? Tip, Mr. Sean. Now what we're gonna do is clean up this side too. Feeling okay? Is this your modeling debut? This is Mr. Sean's modeling debut. I'm sure he's like, what the heck is a modeling debut? Yeah,
Almost my whole family.
yeah. Well, that first one was the model of models. We'll never get another one that good as long as we do this.
That was his first job.
That was his first job. He was amazing. I wrote letters in her son's head and skin. It was really cool. All right, now, I told you.
Thanks, Jerry. Looking forward to more Zoom classes. And Marissa says, looking forward to more classes. These are super helpful and much appreciated. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right, now this is a great example of that neckline I told you about. I'm gonna connect this neckline from here to here with a straight line and take the feminine side out of it. See what you did? You took that feminine side, that rounded neckline right out of it. Square off the corners. See it, that very masculine line to it. Remember we talked before, I said that you don't have to clipper cut everybody very short when you use my flat copper. This is gonna be a great example. I'm actually gonna dry cut his hair when I'm all done too. Here's my graduated weight line. You on a baseball game tonight, aren't you?
Yeah.
Shh.
First one.
Yeah. So here we're gonna pick this up like this, slide this out. You can see my guideline between my fingers. Now this guideline is gonna go all the way around his head, but I'm not gonna clipper cut him so short that he feels like he's got a skin fade. Matter of fact, he's not gonna have much of a fade at all. He's just gonna have a really nice guy's haircut. Remember I talked about the squareness. Even back here, I'm gonna actually make it squarer. So it takes away from any kind of feminine line in that neck. Going back like this. Mr. Sean is getting a haircut. Cleaning up that line. When we come back around here, we're going to do the exact same thing that we did on the other side. We're going to make these two lines meet at a square line. As you watch how this comes around, you would think that he would start to see this line in his hair, but you don't, because when you're going to blend this out, it just, that line, that weight line, which we all know what that is, that's weight. That's because I'm holding my fingers square. This is weight, this is taking away weight. So when I cut on this side of the head and I cut square like this, it makes that line very square. All right. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to actually take my flat topper and blend that section from there to there. From there to there.
Tool of the day.
From there to there. I use it all the time. Cut hair very quick. I'm not a slow hairdresser. Plus I like to talk. So what we're going to do is we're going to just slide this in. You can see the weight line. It's not like you can't see it, but visually, because the hair is damp, you get a better weight line. So all you're gonna do is just barely slide that up in there like that, and just take that hair off. There's my guideline, cut right to it. Look down just a little bit. All right, what I'm gonna do now is as I come around this, I'm gonna make sure I turn this flat topper really, really hard. Because I want that weight to stay on the back of his head. I don't want it to start thinning it out too much. Gonna come around right here. Gonna come around right here and start blending that line. Come around this way. Now this is a great example. You can see really good. I'm gonna take that paddle. As I move it out, there's my guideline. You see my guidelines up here? I'm gonna cut to that guideline. There's my guidelines. Don't lose your guidelines in this. If you think you lost your guidelines, stop, go back, wet the hair, look at it, find your guidelines again. All right, we got them pretty much tightened up. Because of the way his hair is, he has very thick hair. We're gonna thin this out quite a bit. We're gonna keep everything as masculine as we can. In his case, for some reason, his hairline just works for it. Sometimes you gotta maneuver hairlines to make them look this square. His just happens to do it. If they have too many cowlicks in their hairline, what I like to do is I actually like to recreate my own hairline. So I'll take it up to a certain point and then I'll move the hairline where I want it to be. Now, obviously you can tell, he's not an old man, so he doesn't have hair in his ears, so we don't have to do that. He doesn't have hair on his eyebrows, we don't have to do that.
You calling my husband old?
I'm not calling you. I said you just should have to check him if you need to.
Good thing he's not here.
He's one of those hockey players, they're tough. All right. Now, basically what you've created here is you've created a perfect scenario perimeter for a men's haircut. Now, this actually should be your moneymaker in your salon, because you can cut these all day and they go that quick. As far as the length goes in his hair, I'm gonna do something I told you before when I cut that lady's hair, how you don't go to the scalp. In this situation, you can go right to the scalp because the choppiness all stays the same. He's got that much hair. Now he has a very pronounced colic that you probably have all run into a million times. See how his colic goes right there in the back? If you really want this to look very modern, go right into that colic. If you don't want it to look very modern, don't touch the colic. It's your choice. I'm probably gonna make him a colic too, like I did the other guy. Not that he needs it, I just think it'd be a good look for his face. So you can kind of see how it's all coming together. I told you before, I don't have to do skin fades on everybody. I'm going into this cowlick like this, it's looking really fantastic. So I'm gonna actually make him a cowlick. I'm gonna do what I did before. I'm gonna cut an angle at the hair.
Are those notching shears or blenders?
These are notching shears. Great question. Somebody asked, are those notching shears or blenders? Them are definitely notching shears. I put them right on the scalp. I get very aggressive with it. Don't be scared when they have this much hair. It doesn't affect anything except the texture of the hair, the way it feels. Okay. Remember before, I always took everything from right here. I'm now going to move my sectioning over to here. So instead of taking my first section here, I'm going to take my first section here. So what this is going to give him, this is going to give him a longer bang look with still a more of a retro texture to it. So he'll be able to wear a lot of different things without really working hard at them. So by creating this cowlick right here, and that's what I'm doing, I'm creating another cowlick. By creating that cowlick right there, you can kind of see how that hair is already wants to move forward on you. I'm gonna cut everything from a point. I'm moving this way, coming back, but I'm still standing behind him. If I stood on the side of him right now, I would be dropping too much weight. I want less weight, and I want that center to lay down better for him. So if short hair pushes long hair, this is what I'm creating. Short hair pushing long hair. Cut my section down the center, which in this case was off-centered. So now I'm going to take my square on top. I'm going to take my square on top right there, and I'm going to bend my wrist and rest my palm on the side of his head. As I rest my palm on the side of his head, you can almost kind of feel it. It's almost like his head wants to tilt to the right. That's what you're doing weight-wise. These are tricks you can use every day in your salon. I mean, these are easy tricks that you can give a guy who's wants that look but doesn't know how to achieve it, or somebody who's been going to a place where they say use a number 4 on the sides and a number 7 on top. Well, when you're done cutting like this, there's no 4 on the sides and 7 on top. There's a look, there's an experience of.
This is an excellent class. Thank you very much from Mary.
Tell Mary, thank you, Mary.
And we answered Nikki's question, right? Notching shears or blending?
Notching shears, right to the scalp. Now see over on this side here, I'm just barely taking off that edge, barely. Even though it's a symmetrical haircut as far as the perimeter goes, it's asymmetrical as far as the layering goes. So you're creating an inside mechanics on a haircut that work to your advantage. If you have somebody with a very, very square face, why would you put a symmetrical haircut on them and make them look even boxier? What you would need to do is do something to throw the line off that facial symmetry and create a look for them. All right, this is looking pretty good. Created my cowlick, I created my movement and back. I'm going to go through it with a blending shear this time, and we'll be done. When you use the blending shear, when you use your blending shear, you can actually do around the face to create a line that's sparser. I'm gonna go right around that weight line and just take that weight line down wherever I want.
Nicola's asking, would you use this same cutting technique when the boys are wearing the off to the side floppy top skater cut?
Bingo, that's exactly what it's did. You're creating your own cowlick. Like he doesn't have a cowlick and I actually created a cowlick. The question is, would you use this for that off the top floppy sided, one-sided haircut? This is exactly what you would use it for. You cut the sides a lot shorter, you create your own cowlicks in there. This is a great dimension, a great use for your toolbox and how to go about achieving a look like that. Now you can kind of tell just from what I've cut a lot of hair, but I didn't cut him a skin fade,
A lot of texture.
a lot of texture. One long hair on my brush, I don't know where it came from. I could that. Wow, this haircut came out great, Sean. You be on TV at the Sox game tonight?
Planning on it.
This could be your day.
It could be.
That's it. LA, here I come. Now, this is exactly the haircut that's between a businessman's box cut and a skin fade. So this is pretty much your go-to haircut, just about everybody in the industry. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put my paste on here, give it a textury look. And that turned out pretty sharp, didn't it? Cut out a lot of hair too. I left that front's really long and choppy, so he can wear this many different ways. I parted it pretty conservative today, but if he wants to wear it all spiky, he can. If he wants to wear it forward, he can. If he wants to wear it back, he can. This makes his haircut so versatile, it's unbelievable.
What was the paste for?
I use a Quaj paste.
That's that small bottle, that's the lighter one, isn't it?
No, it's the normal paste. Yeah, yeah.
Because I've got a small one like that, and I've got the large one, and the large one is so much thicker.
So much. A Quaj has two different kinds of paste, but most companies nowadays have many different textures in their toolbox.
Yeah.
Now that's a pretty cool haircut for a nice young man like this, huh?
Yes, sir.
He looks like a new man. He's going to the Sox game tonight. Made his modeling debut here on Sharper Image.
Teresa, she loves all these different techniques she gets to see today.
Tell Teresa, thank you. I really appreciate it.
You just did.
This is my last client for today. This is Mr. Sean. We went through a lot of stuff. I'll go over things with you in just a minute.
Thank you.
You go enjoy that game tonight.
I will.
If the Sox don't win, don't come home. Thank you, Lori.
Beautiful, yeah.
Thank you,
good
Sean.
job. My handsome boy.
He is handsome
He is.
and tall.
You have a beautiful
Yeah.
home. I love your house.
Oh, thank you. We just downsized. We're trying to get used to it.
Oh, I
This is
love it.
exactly his other
Nice.
house, except small, smaller.
Sharp. I love the open concept, I love everything. I take, very nice, you got good taste.
He
That's
does.
my wife.
And she's not here, let her know.
I only
what
take
I
it
said.
because I got her.
Well, that's usually how it works. Yes, my husband. We're done, Joe?
You're done.
Awesome.
Thank you. Go have a good
I'll see you
night.
I
tomorrow.
did a couple pictures.
Guys, just want to thank you all. My name is Joe Paciorek. I'm always here for Sharper Edge. My salon is Planet Color. 708-479-8966. If you ever want to ask me any questions, or you can call me on my cell phone. Please enjoy the rest of your day. Keep it as good and positive as you can. And remember my 3 R's that I tell you all the time. Rejuvenate, redefine, and re-engage. Them 3 R's will make your business a success anytime. So I'm Joe Paciorek. I would like to thank you all for tuning in with Sharper Edge here with my friend Jerry.
Okay, you done?
I'm done.
You're a good man. Well, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did from the feedback. I think you did. But there will be more shows. We'll watch your email so that we can keep you informed. And I will send you out your proof of attendance for this class this afternoon. So thank you very much. And we are signing off. Have a great day. See you next time.